What's going on, everybody? My name is Alpha Eevee and I want to welcome you to a Pokemon X and Y anime discussion. And today, guys, we are going to be talking about the future of the Pokemon X and Y series in regards to the upcoming episodes. We got scans, we got a future episodes preview, and we got episodes such as Ash's upcoming gym battle against Olympia, Serena's upcoming Tri Pokemon performance. We got Eevee, we got Braixen, Moltres, Jaspin, and many more, you guys. So without further ado, let's go ahead and do the discussion with the episode that is coming up in 2 weeks, and that is the Mamoswine episode, and it is titled Crossing the Snow Mountains, Mamoswine and Abomasnow. Now I'm gonna read to you the summary, and it states, as they're making their way towards Anistar City, Ash and his friends rent a Mamoswine so they can take a shortcut over some snow mountains. On their way over the mountains, they encounter a sick Snover and an Abomasnow that's trying to protect it. Wanting to help the Snover, Ash and the others split up to search for ingredients for a medicine. However, Team Rocket have been following them into the snow mountains and seized the opportunity to capture Mamoswine and Abomasnow. Alright, I honestly don't have a lot to talk about in regards to the content that is consisted within this episode, but I do have something to say in regards to the image that was released even before we got the most recent scans. There was an image of Ash holding Serena from behind because it seems that Serena is injured or cold. I don't know about you guys, but I wouldn't get too hyped for this episode just because of what seems to be in a more shippy moment. Now, I just want to point this out to you guys, and it's your choice whether or not you want to do it. But don't hope for too much for this episode because of that reason. I've learned my mistakes after seeing the supposedly dead episode, and I promised myself that I wouldn't make the same mistake, especially when we got news of Miet's return. I kept my expectations at a minimum, didn't hope for too much, watched the episode, and what do you know, it turned out to be a really great episode. Lots of more shippy moments here and there, but most importantly, it was a fantastic episode from beginning to end. So if you guys want something like that to happen for this episode, like I said, don't hope for too much. Now, there is something I want to point out to you guys in this image that I didn't realize at first until someone pointed it out. If you look at Serena's right shoulder, there seems to be something covering it. It's light blue for the most part, with a dark blue outline, and has somewhat of a white marking in it. There could be a possibility that that thing in Serena's right shoulder could be the very same handkerchief that Serena kept from Ash since their childhood days. And if that seems to be the case, you guys, oh man, we are in for another great moment between Ash and Serena there. However, I'm still keeping my expectations at a minimum, and I'm saying this because there are some people out there who claim that it is an Ash's handkerchief and that we might be overseeing this. And I've got to agree with them, guys, even though we're not completely sure, because who knows if that's something else, like it's part of a snow mountain or something like that. Well, regardless, you guys, we're just gonna have to wait and see until we get more info, more footage, or until we get to the actual episodes. Oh, and I do gotta say, you guys, Bonnie in that Delibird outfit, she just looks so cute in it, you guys. I don't know, I just feel like hugging her, you know? Alrighty, you guys, now I just want to set this one aside, as we are now going to talk about the Jaspin focus episode. Episode number 84, set to air on August 13th, and this episode is titled Jaspin, Its First Errand. And the summary for this episode states, there is a sudden blackout at the town's Pokemon Center. Clement doesn't have what he needs to fix the problem, so Jaspin and Bunnelby set off to search for the necessary items. Now, at first, you guys, I wasn't quite looking forward to this particular episode. However, I did make up my mind later on, because this episode could be an opportunity for both Jaspin and Bunnelby to better interact with each other and to build a better bond. Now, as far as I know, you guys, we didn't really get a lot of interaction between these two Pokemon, and I have a feeling that this episode will be similar to the one where Froakie and Hawlucha have to work together to rescue Ash from a Trevenant. They weren't used to each other at first, and it wasn't until around the end of the episode where they realized they have to work together to reach a goal, and which is rescuing Ash in that episode. I have a feeling that something like that will happen in this episode, only this time it's with Jaspin and Bunnelby. I assume they'll be wandering off on their own as they help Clement bring the necessary parts. Now, knowing his personality, I have a feeling that Jaspin will goof off in some way and lose focus from bringing the parts to Clement. I think this will annoy Bunnelby and they may get in a few arguments or fights as a result. Now, of course, and just like the past episode I've mentioned with Froki and Halucha, they're going to have to eventually make up and work together to reach that goal before ending bad habits in this episode. That's just my opinion, guys. Looking forward to what's to come for this episode. And now we're moving on to the next episode within these scans, and that is the Bracing Focus episode. Episode number 85, which is set to air on August 20th, and it is titled A Broken Twig, A Broken Heart, Braixen's Strong Feelings. And the summary states for this episode, Braixen's twig ends up breaking during a practice for a new performance. Serena's Panjam and the other Pokemon start searching for the new twig for the depressed Braixen, but, and that's the summary. Now, I do want to point out to you guys that based from what we've gotten from these scans and translation, it seems like Braixen, and I think this applies to all the Braixens out there, can't be, well, themselves inventing bad habits to his twig. In one of these scans in regards to this episode, is that in one of the captions of what you see here, one of them reads, Braixen have twigs sticking out of their tails. These twigs are irreplaceable and very important to them. So this unfortunate accident becomes a very major deal. And guys, I think, well, I believe that. Now, I'm not sure if they mentioned that in the Pokédex in either the X and Y games or the Aurus games, but I believe that those twigs is a part of Braixen, and based off the episode title, Braixen is going to end up with a broken heart and fell into some sort of depression after getting his twig broken. It just doesn't feel like itself anymore. Overall, is what I'm trying to say. Now, this is indeed an issue that Serena and the others have to solve because, and I'm gonna read another caption here, whenever Braixen is about to use a move, it always raises his twig. Without the twig, it can't unleash his moves very well. So because of that, Braixen won't be of any use for Serena for the most part, especially for the upcoming Tribe Pokemon performances, and it can't collaborate with any of her other Pokemon as well. Not to mention, you guys, Braixen is a very crucial member to Serena's team, so without a doubt, they do have to do something about it if Serena and Braixen both want to continue making progress in their dream. Now, of course, Ash and the others will help Serena's Braixen find another twig, but Braixen doesn't seem to be satisfied with any of the other twigs that the others bring and find for Braixen, according to one of the captions in these scans. But then, a disguised James, who names himself Mr. Choice, wants to help Serena and the others with this problem. Now, based on what these scans have to offer, I think this episode will build some development for Braixen, without a doubt. I'm looking forward to what this episode is going to offer and how they're going to handle this serious conflict from beginning to end. I just can't wait, you guys. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is an episode that I'm really looking forward to because this episode is going to feature Moltres. Yes, Moltres, the Firefly type Pokemon from the Kanto region. And of course, I'm sure you guys know that already, but it is a legendary Pokemon. Now, this is episode number 86 that is set to air on August 27th, and this is titled Moltres in Focus, Snap the Legend. A lot of things going down in this episode, so let's just get down to this. Now, the summary states, Trevor has heard a rumor about there being a Moltres near a volcano. Together with Ash and his friends, he goes to search for it, but the group gets attacked by Team Rocket. I really am looking forward to this episode, you guys. A Moltres of all the legendary Pokemon to make an appearance in the X and Y series. That's what got my attention the most when we got the listing of the upcoming episodes. It just made me wonder when I first heard of this, how Moltres will affect the X and Y series and how the gang will react when they see it. Now, I know Xerneas made an appearance back in the summer camp arc. Yeah, it made an appearance already in the anime. But Bonnie was the only one who got some good views of Xerneas here and there. Now, yes, I'm fully aware that Ash and the others also saw Xerneas, but they weren't fast enough to even identify who that Pokemon was. You know, with Ash pulling out his Pokédex and Trevor about to take a snapshot of this Pokemon, they were too late, you know? Now that we're getting another episode featuring a legendary Pokemon, I really am curious to see how this episode will turn out. Now that the whole game will be able to see this legendary Pokemon right in front of their eyes. So going back to the summary, one of the few noticeable details from that is that Trevor is going to make an appearance in this episode, and I think it's great that we're now getting an episode where he reunites with Ash and the gang after Shauna and Tierno have made their return sometime after the summer camp arc. Now, knowing Trevor when it comes to what he does, the reason he's going to be in this particular episode is because he wants to see Moltres for himself and perhaps take a few snapshots of the legendary Pokemon here and there. Now, based on the captions from the scan, Trevor has already taken pictures of the other legendary bird Pokemon, which are Zapdos and Articuno, which I find interesting in my opinion. So Ash and the others head over to the mountain where Moltres rests in, which is called Mount Ardres. Now, once they reach the volcano, which is located within that mountain, Moltres appears right in front of the gang. However, it got anger from being disturbed from its rest, according to the captions. And in my opinion, guys, and going back to the episode summary, Team Rocket is going to make an appearance in this episode, and I think they were the ones who caused Moltres to wake up from his slumber. I think that, and this is my opinion, well, my prediction rather, I think that once Ash and the others reach the mountain, they're going to get attacked by Team Rocket, and because of Team Rocket's actions, they accidentally woke up Moltres. Now, perhaps sometime later after dealing with Team Rocket, Moltres appears and he goes on a fiery rage on the gang, thinking that they were the ones who woke him up. Now, that's just my theory, guys. Again, who knows if that becomes real or not. I just came up with that based on the information that we've gotten. Now, Ash's Fletcher takes on the Moltres, and I think this battle in particular will really help Fletcher develop in many ways, you guys. And taking a look back at the future episodes trailer, Fletcher did evolve into a Talonflame, and if you look at Talonflame, he looks absolutely bruised from the battle. Now, it's unknown whether or not he barely won the battle against Moltres or he just lost, leaving him, really hurt. And Ash, as usual, he did it with Pikachu, and he even did it with Noibat. He jumps, he takes the risk of risking his life to rescue his Pokemon. And if you look at the upcoming episode's preview, Ash runs down the volcano and rescues Tyrant, and he's going to fall into the pit of lava, so will he survive? Who knows? We're just gonna have to wait until that episode comes. Now, let's move on to the next episode, which is going to feature a Tyrantrum in the episode. I don't really have much to say about this episode overall, but based on what we've gotten in the feature episode's trailer, we did get a Tyrant, and I think that very same Tyrant is going to eventually evolve into a Tyrantrum. We also did see Bonnie in her Tyrantrum PJs feeding that Tyrant some Pokemon food. Now, based off of what we've gotten for this episode, there could be a possibility that this will be a Bonnie focused episode. Now, Bonnie, throughout that small clip in the upcoming episode's preview, you can see Bonnie taking care of that Tyrant, and I think that Tyrant will develop some sort of bond with Bonnie. I think this episode will turn out to be similar to the Flababy episode, where Flababy encountered Bonnie mistaking the flower pen that Bonnie had for a fairy flower. Now, if you guys watched the episode, or rather if you remember the episode, Bonnie and Flababy did develop a bond full of friendship and care between one another. Now, if this Tyrant episode turns out to be similar to that episode, then we may see some moments of feels here and there. And if that were to be the case, then I would really like to see how Bonnie and the soon-to-be Tyrantrum will bond with one another after all the good times they've had with each other since Tyrantrum was a Tyrant. Now, one question I do have in mind in regards to this episode is that, where did this Tyrant come from? And I'm asking this because you don't really see a fossil Pokemon in the wild, and this includes in the games, and to see one from the future episodes trailer made me question where it came from. Could it really be a wild Tyrant? Maybe it belongs to a trainer, or perhaps it escaped from a research facility. Who knows, you guys? This is also another episode that I'm looking forward to, and I really do hope that theory about Bonnie bonding with the Tyrant is right, because that will be a really great episode right there, and if not, then I just do hope that the XY writers handle it right. Now, next up, you guys, we have episode number 88, which is set around Dixterby. There's not a lot to talk about since we don't have a lot of information, but we did get this scene from the future episodes trailer, and this scene in particular could mean many things, you guys. From my perspective, it looks like Clement is about to release its Bunnelby, which I highly doubt is going to be the case. Because if you look at Clement and Bunnelby just before Clement cried, you get to see them in a hug, which with light reflecting off of his glasses. Clement then cries afterwards, which made me think that he's going to release the Bunnelby. Now, if that were to be the case, you guys, I'm going to be really disappointed for a few reasons, and I'm going to get into that just in a bit, you guys. But first, I want to talk about this episode in general, because we are finally getting what seems to be a Bunnelby focused episode, for the little guy. And guys, let's face it, Barnaby deserves it after God knows how many episodes it has been since Barnaby left us with a really good impression on us during one of his screen time. It needs a lot of love from us X and Y fans in my opinion, and I think this is a great opportunity for him to further develop his character. The only time we get to see Barnaby is when the conflict comes up or when he gets involved in a battle. Now that it no longer seems to be the case, I can't wait for this episode to come and see how the X and Y writers will treat Barnaby. Now I'm going back to the reasons on why I would be disappointed if the writers decide to release Barnaby. One of those reasons is because of the way they've been treating Barnaby throughout the X and Y series. As I've mentioned to you guys before, the only time we get to see him is in a conflict or battle. We rarely see him display his character outside of that. If Barnaby gets released in that episode, then what was the point of having Barnaby in the X and Y series in the first place? Another reason as to why I will be disappointed is because Barnaby is pretty much one of the main mascots of this ongoing series. I think X and Y would feel the same without the little guy, and we really do need him to keep the rhythm, you could say, of the X and Y series going. He's an asset to the show, and I think it would be wrong to have him released. Again, you guys, I highly doubt something like this is going to happen in regards to Clemens releasing Barnaby. Now, and I have heard it from a few people, there have been claims that Clemens Barnaby may evolve in this episode, and honestly, you guys, I don't want that lovable little bunny to evolve into Perkly number 2 because I've mentioned before, Barnaby is an asset to the series, and not to mention that X and Y would feel quite the same. I don't really like the way it looks, so let's just hope that Barnaby just stays the way it is and doesn't evolve anytime soon, or rather never evolves. Moving on to the next episode, you guys. Now this, episode 89, and just like the Moltres episode, this is one of the episodes that I find the most anticipating in the series, in my opinion, because that episode will be the debut of Serena's potential Eevee. Now, ever since we've gotten the new opening, Eevee was featured in it, fantasizing being in a Tri-Pokemon performance. Now, without a doubt, you guys, and I'm sure you guys have already known by now, Serena will eventually catch that Eevee, and let me tell you guys, at first I was happy and surprised at the same time, and I'm surprised by this because, let me remind you, for those of you who have forgotten, Serena is not the first female companion to have owned an Eevee. Back in the Advanced Generation series, May owned an Eevee, which eventually evolved into a Glaceon. To see Serena catching an Eevee, I'm just astonished because if I'm correct, this will be the first time that two of Ash's female companions will own the same Pokemon, in this case, Eevee. Now, let me tell you guys, I am happy for Serena that she will be getting another Pokemon because it has been some time since she has caught another Pokemon. You know, her last Pokemon was Pancham back in episode, I think it was 47. Yeah, it was 47. So that's about 30 episodes since Serena caught her last Pokemon. Now that Serena's going to be catching an Eevee, this will really help her a lot in her Tri-Pokemon performances, giving her a lot more variety with a team that is accustomed to Pokemon performing. So that's great for Serena overall. And now, I just want to talk about this just for fun. I want to talk about Eevee's potential evolution. And in my opinion, you guys, I think this Eevee may eventually evolve into Leafeon. The reason I say that is because Ash and the others are going to eventually come across Novel City. And past that city, they're going to go through Route 20 at some time. Maybe perhaps after the gym battle. Now, in that route, there's a Monster Rock, and I think that when that episode comes, once they reach the Monster Rock, it will be an Eevee focused episode. Another one of Eevee's evolutions that I would mind Eevee evolve into is a Vaporeon, and that's simply because Serena needs a water type Pokemon. Now, when this episode comes, you guys, and I'm talking about Eevee's debut, episode 89, I really am curious to know where this Eevee came from and how it knows to perform. We've seen Eevee performing in the current opening, and now we got a scene from the feature episodes preview featuring Eevee doing the same thing. I think it's pretty obvious that Eevee isn't born with his performance moves. I think it might have learned it from someone else. Maybe that Eevee was probably owned by a trainer. Well, no, not a trainer. Pokemon performer before it encountered Serena. Or maybe it learned those performance moves from observation. Similar to how Pancham got interested in Tri-Pokemon performances. That question was soon to be answered, you guys, but that's all I've got to say in regards to the episode. And now we're moving on to one of the two episodes that is not featured in this scans, but rather on the upcoming episode's preview. And one of those episodes, you guys, is the upcoming gym match between Ash and Olympia. And by the looks of this, it looks like we're going to be seeing the episode in about 10 episodes from now. And let me tell you guys, I'm liking the way the X and Y series have been handling the pace between gym battles. Some take 10 or so after the recent gym battles, some are shorter, some are longer. And in this case, it's going to be about, okay, so Valerie's gym battle was back in like episode 72, 3. So that's about 20 episodes or so since Ash's last gym battle. So I'm very satisfied with that because I don't want the same pace going where Ash just dealt with a gym battle. Then like in less than 10 episodes later, we're going to get another one. I hope that wouldn't be the case because it would really make the X and Y series fast paced. And we still have a lot of things that still need to happen in this series, you guys. So I'm glad that isn't the case with this whole pace thing. Now, I don't want to let you guys know, this gym battle will be a double battle. And funny thing about that, Ash, for his 7th gym battle, is going to face a Psychic type gym leader in a double battle, just like Ted and Lisa back in the Events series. So that's quite a coincidence there. In the feature episodes trailer, and just like the opening, we did get to see Olympia use both of her Meow Sticks, and does seem to be the case in the upcoming gym battle. Now, we're not completely sure whether or not those Meow Sticks are the only 2 Pokemon that Olympia will have in her team. Being a double battle now, I don't think I'm going to be as hyped for this episode because, and I could be wrong about this, I don't think those Meow Sticks are that overpowered unless they're really good when it comes to double battles. You know, now that I think about it, Ash doesn't really have a lot of experience in double battles all by himself. He's more of a 1v1 trainer, so unless he comes prepared for the gym battle, Ash could possibly struggle in this gym battle, which could make sense if Olympia has in her team are those 2 Meow Sticks. And speaking of Ash, you guys, all we know is that his Frogadier is one of the contenders for this upcoming gym battle. There's nothing more to it in regards to who his partner is or how many Pokemon Ash can use for this double battle. We don't know until we near the episode, you guys, but nevertheless, that gym battle is coming real soon, and I'm looking forward to what's to come for that episode because, in my opinion, I think this will be a difficult gym battle for Ash. And finally, you guys, on to the last episode of this discussion. We are now going to talk about the upcoming Tri-Pokeland episode, which is something that was actually sudden because I didn't expect to see another Tri-Pokeland episode quite quick after Serena won her first Tri-Pokeland contest. And it just comes to show how much Serena wants to push herself in her dream progression. Now, if you guys take a look at her dress here, it's the very same dress that she wore in her Tri-Pokeland debut. The only difference, of course, is the handpin she has. Not to mention that her Braixen is also wearing the same outfit that Serena put on her when she was just a Fennekin back in episode 60. I do hope that this Tri-Pokeland episode happens sometime after the Eevee episode because I really want to see how Eevee will do in the Tri-Pokeland performance. It could be too soon, but heck, you never know. If that doesn't seem to be the case, which I think is likely going to happen because we're going to see Eevee in the future episodes trailer, then I do think it will watch from the audiences alongside with Ash and the others. Now, keep in mind, you guys, this is a Tri-Pokeland episode. There could be the possibility that we could see the return of Palermo or Yashio, and if you guys don't remember who she is, she's the woman who saw Serena crying at the Cameroon Pier back in Serena's debut after she lost her first Tri-Pokeland. If she does make a return in this episode, I would really like to see what her role will be in this episode. Could she and Serena meet one-on-one? Have a few talks here and there? Will she be watching the performance as usual back in Serena's debut episode? And most importantly, you guys, will we ever get to actually know what Palermo's secret is that she mentioned back in episode 60? I think it's credible to know that Palermo is having so much impact in the X and Y series. Everyone is interested in her character, her background, what she tends to do from time to time, and her goals. And without a doubt, you guys, I will be looking forward to this episode if Palermo does return. Alrighty, you guys, that is all I've got to say to you. Now let me know in the comment section down below, what are your guys' thoughts and opinions in regards to the scans and the episodes that were within those scans and the future episodes trailer. Which episodes are you most looking forward to? And let me hear your guys' predictions on what may happen in some of these episodes. Thank you guys so much for watching my discussion here on my channel. Hit the like button below if you enjoyed the video. Follow my Twitter for more Pokemon and Nintendo related content, which I'll leave down in the description below. And please do subscribe for more Pokemon related content in my channel. My name is Alpha Eevee. Thank you guys yet again for watching my video, and I'll see you guys all in my future videos. See ya!